Thank you, and what a way to start the day. If we don't do anything else right today, we know we got that part right anyway. Let's get it underway. Welcome to the NILE for 2023. We are going to bring our first class into the Ford F-150 EcoBoost show ring right here, and that, as I said before, is class number 4. These are early senior heifer calves born in the month of August through October. We're bringing in tag number 513, showed by Travis Moniz of Princeton, California, and from Fort Benton, Montana, tag number 516. Again, we are welcoming early senior heifer calves born October 1st through the end of, born August 1st through the end of October. Travis Moniz with tag number 513 and Michael O'Hara out of Fort Benton, Montana with tag number 516. Our judge this morning, as I said before, is Ashley Wagner. She's from Loveland, Colorado. She and her husband Jake manage Beatty Livestock alongside Ken and Sydney Beatty. Beatty Livestock is an Angus and Simmental-based cow-cattle operation that focuses on producing nationally competitive show heifers and breeding stock. Before moving to Colorado, Ashley was a member of a champion livestock judging team at Redlands Community College and Oklahoma State University, including being the 2014 High Individual in Louisville. Ashley served as the assistant coach at OSU for 3 years before establishing herself in Colorado, where she also runs her own marketing business. Ashley has judged shows across the country, including the National Western Stock Show, American Royal, Houston Livestock Show, and various junior nationals alongside countless state fairs and jackpot shows. So, Ashley Wagner, thank you for being here with us this morning. It is indeed our privilege to have you here, and again, we do await class number 4 to kick off our show. Class number 4, tags 510 and, tags 513 and 516.
Well, good morning, guys. Before I get any further in, I'd like to say thank you guys for having me out here this weekend. I've never gotten to come to this show before, and it surely is exciting to be here. I'm going to go ahead and apologize from the start. I've got a little bit of a lisp. Right now, I had to have mouth surgery a couple weeks ago, so they've got all sorts of stuff stuck in my mouth. But a nice place to start on these heifers this morning, guys. And I think there's some talking points and certainly some differences between these two cattle. I left them standing here, but the young lady that's in the second hole is actually going to be your class winner today. She's got a heifer that I think just in terms of length and extension, the way her pin set is built into her, is one that I definitely resonate from that standpoint. She's super fresh and youthful in terms of her look, and I really, really love the way her hip and hind leg is composed, the way she goes from behind, the way she utilizes that hind leg. In comparison to the heifer that stands directly in front of her, she's probably not just quite as soft in terms of her flank, maybe just doesn't perfectly balance in terms of her look, but I think that one, again, in terms of freshness and youthfulness, that's why maybe she just doesn't balance quite like she needs to in that flank line, and in comparison standpoint, she's maybe just a little bit plainer headed. The heifer here in second, one that's super broody in her middle section, soft in terms of her flank line, balances exceptionally well from the side. Gentleman does an incredible job of coming out here and getting her shown. I actually prefer the way her head shape is. Comparison to that heifer, I don't think she's got quite as much foot and bone. I'd like to change her just a touch in terms of the angle to her shoulder, the way that neck sits onto the top of her shoulder, and how long she is from her shoulder forward is definitely an area that from a comparison standpoint maybe just doesn't match up with that heifer. You get in from behind the cattle, I don't think she stays quite as square and wide out there through her pin set all the way down to her hock. A really nice pair of females, guys. Let's give those kids a round of applause.
A great start to the Nile there. A small but pretty impressive class to get us underway. That, of course, then will be your reserve champion, Travis Moniz out of Princeton, California, with Roy Priscilla, tag number 513, and your champion senior heifer cap is going to be Fort Benton, Montana's Michael O'Hara with tag 516. That is MVH Miss Valerie. That's going to move us to class number 6 now. Here is a single entry class. Spring yearling heifers born in the month of March to the end of April. From Riverton, Wyoming, we welcome tag number 523. Grit Coco subclass. Class number 7, you are going to be second out. Class number 7, have it on your mind. Just one entry there as well. That is tag number 515. Subclass number 7, you are Julie Junior yearling heifers born January 1st through the end of February. You are on deck. Trevor Williams, we do need you to the show ring, please. Trevor Williams, would you take you and your plunder to the show ring, please?
We've got an exceptionally high quality one here, guys. I guess for me, my type and kind, what I like to see, I think this one's running gears are incredibly good. Angles to her skeleton, angles to her spine, the way she utilizes her hind leg is just awesome. You know, she's super, super fresh to the point where, you know, maybe could use just a little bit more condition on her. See her drop down in that flank just ever so slightly. But I know how hard it is to manage these cattle. I know how hard it is to keep them fresh like this. And I can still appreciate the amount of freshness that she has. I think she's incredibly maternally driven and just awesome in terms of her feet and her legs. She'll be interesting to see back out here in your division lineup. Let's congratulate that young man.
Trevor Williams, congratulations on a very impressive single entry right there. That's tag number 523, Drit Coco. That will be your class champion for spring yearling heifer calves. Let's go right now to class number 7. Junior yearling heifers born from the first of the year through the end of February. Single entry right here. This one from Fort Benton, Montana. Tag number 515, shown by Emery O'Hara. This is MVH Ms. Fortress. I need to take just a hot minute here to pay a couple of bills, if you don't mind, while we're at it. I want to give a shout-out to AgriBest Feeds, a proud sponsor of the NILE Show. If you are looking for the best supplement for your cattle, look no further than AgriBest Feeds Sweet Pro. Sweet Pro is a complete supplement that helps cover your cattle's vitamin, mineral, protein, and energy needs, along with a powerful digestive aid that helps cattle get the most out of every bite of forage. Sweet Pro comes standard with flax and MOS. It's got no molasses nor urea. Stop by and visit with the AgriBest team at their booth across from the show ring. And a shout out and a thank you to Stock Show Secrets. They're one of our brand new sponsors for 2023. Want to wish every exhibitor the very best of luck.
As this young lady gets her on the standstill, another impressive single entry, and for different reasons than the female that we just saw. She is super stout and she is super powerful, and yet still maintains a feminine and attractive look about her head and about her neck. She together and poises herself extremely well. He set the cattle into motion. I do wish that she was maybe just a little bit more comfortable right there at the surface. She maybe wants to get a little bit more awkward and uncoordinated in the way she sets down off of those rear two. And she's maybe just a little bit more upright in the angle to her shoulder. With that, you know, she's got that neck that sits so high and attractive off the top side of her shoulder. And that's just kind of part of the deal when you've got one that is that high tying. They're usually just a little bit more.
Benton, Montana, Ms. Fortress finishing on top. We're going to go now to selection of our champion senior yearling heifer. All those that are in contention for selection of reserve champion and champion senior yearling heifer, please welcome back to the Ford F-150 EcoBoost show ring. We will select our grand and reserve champion following.
Two females out here that represent a world of quality, but certainly are just different in terms of their type and kind. And depending on where you put your priorities, I can see going either direction with either one of these females. You've got one that's so fresh and so youthful and really, I think, really appropriate in terms of her size, awesome in terms of her feet and her legs. maybe just needs to be a little bit woofier there in the center portion of her body. Could use just a touch more condition. And then the heifer that stands directly behind her that's super stout and super powerful. She's 12 o'clock in terms of condition today. She's one that, I just wish was maybe just a touch softer in the way she sets down off of those rear two. Pick and choose them how you like them, the type and kind I resonate with. The gentleman at the front of the line is going to be your division champion. Young lady in the second hole will be reserved. Let's congratulate them.
Congratulations to our champion, Trevor Williams of Riverton, Wyoming, with Drit Coco, and your reserve champion going to tag number 515. That is Fort Benton, Montana's MVH, Miss Fortress. And we will welcome back into the Ford F-150 EcoBoost show ring all those that are in contention for selection of Grand Champion Maine Anjou female.
As we get the cattle back out here, guys, obviously just the forehead in this show, but these division winners, these females here at the top end, I think match up really, really well. Obviously differences just in terms of power and stoutness, but they're both females that look like females. They're sound built. They're built right from the ground up in terms of foot size and shape. They're built with some stability as they go from behind. And again, it's pick and choose what you like and what you see. The heifer that's here at the front of the line, the fall-born heifer, one that I think is incredibly unique in terms of her extra foot and her extra bone. She's one that's really, really attractive there through the front end of her build. She's one that between the two cattle probably has just a power and stoutness advantage when you get in from behind her. Is she maybe quite as good in terms of her angle up front? No. Is she quite as soft and just parallel in terms of her look from the side? No. The heifer that comes directly behind her is one that I love in terms of her feet and her legs. Super sound, super maternal in terms of her look. she's one that, like I talked earlier, could maybe have just a touch more a condition on her, I guess. I love freshness, and I love how fresh she is, but I do think she would benefit from maybe just being a little bit woofier there in the center portion of her body. She's not quite as unique in the way she's built there through her front end, and as you study her down her top line, I love how loose she is, but she wants to deviate ever so slightly there in her hip line. Those are the differences I see. I'm going to go out and pick your champion or reserve. Let's congratulate these kids.
Congratulations to your grand champion, Maine Anjou female right there. That is tag number 516, shown by Michael O'Hara of Fort Benton, Montana. MVH, Ms. Valerie. Tag number 523, Trevor Williams. Congratulations on finishing reserve grand champion. We're going to go right now to class number 515. Number 15, excuse me. There are 4 entries in class number 15. These are maintainer early spring heifer calves born March 1st and following. We welcome from Powell, Wyoming, Hadley Cooper with tag number 503. From Shepherd, Montana, Caden Campula, tag number 509. From Charlotte, Montana, Cohen Cahoon with tag number 502. Also from Charlotte, Montana, we welcome Grace Elperud with tag number 506. Again, these are maintainer early spring heifer calves. We will select our champion junior heifer calf from this class right here. Class number 18, you're going to be on deck. That'll be maintainer early senior heifer calves, calved in the month of August and following. 2 entries there, 510 and 511. You are on deck. 510 and 511, you are on deck. That's what I have, yep. Just a couple of more of the great sponsors I want to give a shout out to. Tri-State Livestock News is the leading livestock publication in the upper Midwest, over 60 years strong, published every Saturday. Tri-State Livestock News provides timely agribusiness news, rodeo updates, livestock market reports, and community events coverage in a 9-state region. Visit us online at tsln.com and the Northern Ag Network. KGHL NILE Stock Show is brought to you by the flagship station of the Northern Ag Network, home of award-winning farm broadcasters like Taylor Brown, Coulter Brown, and Andy Schwab and Brett McRae. They're on AM 790, KGHL, and 94.7 on the FM dial. And, of course, Les Schwab, a proud sponsor of the NILE. Safety starts at Les Schwab. That includes tires, wheels, batteries, brakes, steering, alignment, and more. Look at them at leschwab.com.
This is super high quality class of these Tanner heifers, and I commend you guys for coming out here and bringing heifer calves that are this young. Trust me, our sale is in 2 weeks, and I wish some of the heifers in our sale were this halter broken, this ready to go. For me, I think it's an easy place to start in the gentleman's heifer that's going to go ahead and win. You know, she's just my type and kind. When you want to talk about long-term pieces, I think that this one is so feminine, so attractive, so good in the way her neck sits onto her skeleton. She's got an extra maternal look about the center portion of her body. And when you set the cattle into motion, that one handles her angles, handles her spine, handles her hip and hind leg the way she needs to. I know that she's not the stoutest, the most powerful one out here. And if you're looking for that one, you definitely get it in the heifer that stands directly behind her. Like I said, from a long-term standpoint, thinking about these cattle as they grow and they develop, I just see more longevity in the young man's heifer. She's just a little bit more my type and kind. The heifer here in second. You know, if you're thinking about wanting to make steers, she's the ticket. I think that she is overwhelmingly stout, overwhelmingly powerful. She's shaggy, she's hairy, she's got the extra foot, she's got the extra bone. With that, she's probably not just as loose and comfortable in terms of the way she goes out of her hip and hind leg in comparison to the heifer directly in front of her. And that's really why I have her down here in the second hole. They're just two different types and kinds of cattle, and depending on where your priorities are and what you want to do from a production standpoint and where you want to go, both of them have an incredible value. There's just difference in terms of their endpoint. I guess this heifer here in second also, I just don't know how big that one is going to get from a mature size standpoint. A really nice heifer that comes out next, probably not the intangibles of those other two, just in terms of look and attractiveness. She doesn't have quite the extra flair and balance and structure of the heifer that wins, not quite the extra power and just unique pieces as the heifer in second. That's still an incredibly high quality animal that I think as time goes on and her future is certainly bright. Similar story with the heifer that's down here in the fourth hole, guys. I think that this one has got some uniqueness to her as well. She's out here in a class of heifers that just have got more days on them, that have just got more to them. She maybe doesn't want to cooperate, hasn't figured out the show ring thing quite yet. I love her in terms of her neck attachment, love her in terms of her rib, love her in terms of her power. Just needs a little bit more time to really get there. Awesome class of these heifer calves, guys. Let's congratulate those kids.
Congratulations to our champion junior heifer calf right there. That's tag number 502, shown by Cohen Cahoon of Charlotte, Montana. Simone at 753, and finishing in reserve, Caden Kambula of Shepherd, Montana, with tag number 509, VCS Shakira E.T. We are at now class number 18. These are maintainer early senior heifer calves born August 1st and following. There's two entries in the class. Tag number 510 and tag number 511. 510 comes to us out of Newcastle, Wyoming, shown by Jerome Lip, and also shown by Jerome Lip of Newcastle, tag number 511.
again, two females out here that are just different in terms of what they bring to the table, and I'm going to leave them standing just the way they are. The gentleman here in the cowboy hat has got a female that, to me, just looks more female. She's longer, she's more extended, she's more maternal in terms of the sweep to the center portion of her body, more attractive about her head, and one that just in a general sense I think is just flatter in terms of the way her joints are built into her, flatter in the way her skeleton is built into her. She's not perfect. I'd like to change her in the way she goes out of her hip. She wants to duck those pins ever so slightly. She wants to kind of tuck those back legs up underneath her, and she's maybe not quite just as soft and comfortable right there at the ground as I'd like to see in the way she goes off those rear two. But the heifer in second is an improvement in that department, so she still has an advantage just in terms of structure. The heifer here in second is stout, and she is powerful. You get in from behind the cattle, and she is huge over the top side of her build. She's massive out there through her pin set. She's one that, for the extra power and stoutness that she has, I think she handles it adequately enough. This one, for me, is just a little bit too coarse all the way through, a little bit too jammed up in the way she's built there from her shoulder forward. I'd like to change her in the way she hinges out of her hip and hind leg. Again, one of those that, if mated correctly for making steers, has probably got a lot of unique pieces, just maybe not my type and kind out here today. Still very, very high quality animal, though. Let's congratulate both of them.
Congratulations to our champion senior heifer calf right there. That is tag number 510. SCSC Cora 2K out of Newcastle, Wyoming, with Jerome Lip. And in reserve, again, Jerome Lip's 5'11", Miss Mango. Let's move on to class number 19. These are maintainer summer yearling heifers born the 1st of May through the end of July. We have... looks like 3 entries here. Again, we welcome Jerome Lip of Newcastle with tag number 512. That is NAJ Candy Cat. Out of Powell, Wyoming, it's Cooper Hadley with tag number 504, Layla. And number 500, tag number 500, Bailey Becker of Warden, Montana, with Miss Gold Epic. Wild tags 512, 504, and 500 are finding their way to the Ford F-150 EcoBoost show ring. I'm going to go back and give a shout out to some more of the great sponsors that we have here at the NILE for 2023. Not the least of which is Select Sires, offering an expanded sire lineup that includes more elite bulls from respected programs. Select Sires, Calving Ease Carcass Cows. Stop by and see Jay Nansel at their booth in the trade show, or visit with your local Select Sire representative. Pine Coulee Bulls. Bulls bred and tested for convenience, efficiency, and profit traits. Pine Coulee Bulls sale will be March 11, 2024 at the Wagon Box Ranch in Hardin, Montana. They'll be selling 170 yearling bulls. And thank you to Jim Stamfel and John Carroll, the Western Ag Reporter. Serving the ag industry since 1940. Proud to be instrumental in starting the NILE, with founder Pat Goggins holding the #1 charter. Stop by their booth and sign up for your subscription.
Another nice class of these big heifers, and I guess for me it's pretty logical that the heifer here at the front of the line that I just switched needs to go ahead and win. You know, again, maybe not my type and kind just in terms of some of the pieces that she has, but in terms of just quality, that's the highest quality one out here, guys. I think that not only is she just awesome in terms of the extra foot and bone that she has, the extra dimension that she has, freshness is a significant advantage in this heifer, and still, even though there's structural differences between these two, I still think she's better, especially in the way she comes right at you. She stays more within herself in the way she goes out of that shoulder. She's one that I think handles her spine just a little bit better. And I'm not going to say she's perfect in the way her hip and hind leg is constructed, but I don't think the heifer that's in second has an advantage there either. For me, this one runs just a little bit downhill, and she's maybe not just the most unique in the way that head and neck sits onto that shoulder, but balance and power and just freshness lead to her advantage in this class. The heifer here in second is big and long, and you study them in terms of head shape and just mature size. She's one that's probably just a little bit more maternal in terms of the way she's built. This one's been pushed just a little bit too far for me, guys. She needs a little bit of that condition taken off, and I think that would help her get out and go better. She's one that's carrying a little bit more in her chest, and because of that, when she comes right at you, she wants to paddle out of her shoulder. She doesn't reach with the flexibility that she needs to right there, and then you set her in motion, and she's one that, even though she's probably hinged better in terms of her hip, still doesn't handle her hind leg quite as well, and I think that starts at the ground. She needs a bigger foot underneath her, and she needs just a touch more bone. I love how long and extended she is. I just think this one's just a little bit too far past 12 o'clock. Pull some of that condition off of her. I think she looks better, balances better, is better on the move. The heifer here in third is certainly stout, and she's certainly rugged. Out here in this class, when compared to those other two heifers, she gives up a little bit in terms of performance. She's just too coarse for me all the way through. I'd like to smooth her out in terms of her joints, smooth her out in terms of the way she's built there through her front end. Like to take that tail head and notch it down into her spine. Just give her a softer, more maternal look all the way through. Nice class of these big heifers, guys. Let's congratulate all of them.
Congratulations to a very impressive class right there. Finishing in reserve, tag number 512. That is Candy Cat 904K, shown by Jerome Lip of Newcastle, Wyoming. And tag 504, shown by Hadley Cooper of Powell. That is VCS MS Layla. And that is your class champion. We're going to go to class number 20 right here. Maintainer Spring Yearling Heifers, born in the months of March and April. We've got 3 entries here. Tag number 505, shown by Hadley Cooper, of Powell, Wyoming. This is VCS Casey. Tag number 507, shown by Davey Frost of Cowley, Wyoming. Tag 507 is Young's Miss NG. And tag number 501, shown by Bailey Becker of Ballantine, Montana. Young's Miss NG. 3 entries right here. And again, a shout out to some of the great help that we have at the NILE again for 2023. Western Ranch Supply. Western Ranch Supply is serving the big country with a quality and service you can trust. Stop at their West End store located just off the Shiloh exit. It's a complete farm and ranch store with vet supplies to show supplies or fencing and livestock equipment, saddles, tack. They've got a huge clothing department. Thank you to Rob Erickson, Keith Robinson, and Shane Vandevort. Stores in Billings and Great Falls. Rocky Mountain Compost. Our thanks to Rocky Mountain Compost for their continued support of the NILE again this year. They've supplied our livestock bedding and can provide yours too. They deliver across 7 states. And a thank you to World West, the promotional partner for the 2023 NILE Jackets. World West of Joliet, Montana, a custom bull collection service with the experience many have come to trust. Make sure you stop and talk to Scott and Andrea Spickard.
Easily the best class of cattle that I've gotten to see today thus far. You've got 2 exceptionally good females here. with some differences between them. I think when you break them down and study them, though, in terms of which one has the better pieces, it's the young lady with the white flanked heifer here in the second hole. You know, that one is interesting. She's interesting in terms of the way her neck sits onto her shoulder. My husband would absolutely love this female because he's a sucker for one that's got a neck like that and ears like that every single time. I think that her neck is incredible. I think that the way her chest floor is built into her is a significant advantage over the heifer that stands directly in front of her. She's looser in terms of her spine. Both these heifers have spine issues, I would say, and probably aren't just perfect there. She's one that when you set the cattle into motion, she handles the angle to her shoulder better. And every once in a while you see her out here and she wants to click up those back heels. But I think it's primarily because this sawdust is so deep and she just gets a little bit more uncomfortable, because when you study her in terms of her angles, the angle to her hock, the angle to her pasterns, they're built better than the heifer that's going to be in second today. She wants to deviate in terms of her loin, and she kicks that tail head up into the air, and I'd like to change her from that regard. And maybe it's just she's irritated, not sure. She just doesn't want to put that tail down, so it accentuates the way she's built there in her hip-loin junction a little bit more, but that is an incredibly, incredibly high-quality female. Nothing to take away from the heifer here in second. This one is overwhelmingly powerful, especially as you watch her go from behind. Tremendous in the shape to the center portion of her body. Stout and powerful out there through her hip. She's not nearly as unique in terms of her head and neck shape. She's maybe just a little bit thicker there on the top side of her neck. Her chest doesn't sit into her skeleton quite as well as the heifer that stands directly behind her. When you set the cattle into motion, I think that's where the difference is. She doesn't handle the angle to her shoulder quite as well. And her top, sorry guys, and her top just doesn't hold together like it needs to. She deviates right there on the back side of her shoulder, pinches in the back, gets loose there in her hip loin, and kicks that tail head up into the air. If I could just reconstruct her spine, I'd feel a little bit more comfortable in this pair using her over the heifer here in second. Awesome, awesome pair of cattle, guys. Let's congratulate both those young ladies.
Congratulations, finishing in reserve in the class. That is Young's Miss NG shown by Davy Frost of Cowley, Wyoming, and your class champion shown by Bailey Becker of Ballantine, Montana, tag number 501. Again, Young's Miss NG. We're going to go down to a single entry. This is class number 21. Class 21, Maintainer Junior Yearling Heifers, born the 1st of January through the end of February. Got a single entry right here. This is tag number 517, shown by Trevor O'Hara, Fort Benton, Montana. Following this class, we will move to selection of our champion junior yearling heifer cab. All those that are in contention for selection, please have your proverbial hammers cocked.
A nice single entry this gentleman brings out here. You know, compared to the heifers that we just saw, maybe not the extra hair coat and presentation, but I think this one is similar in terms of just pieces that she brings to the table. Tremendous in terms of her foot and her bone, overwhelming in terms of the shape to the center portion of her body. She is super stout when you get in from behind her. With that, she maybe again wants to deviate in terms of that loin, is a little bit coarser there in her tail head. You watch her come right at you, and she's maybe a little bit more tipped forward in terms of her shoulder, but that's a really, really high quality single entry for that gentleman. She'll be interesting to see back out here momentarily. Give him a hand.
Congratulations to Trevor O'Hara on a very impressive single entry right there. Tag number 517. We are going to welcome back into the Ford F-150 EcoBoost show ring all those that are in contention for selection for reserve champion and champion junior yearling heifer. And while they are finding their way back into the show ring, I'm going to give a shout out To some more of the great sponsors that we have here. ShowFresh H2O. ShowFresh H2O is the solution to your livestock water drinking needs. By eliminating the chlorine in the water, it gets rid of the foul taste and smell that causes your animal not to drink. Hydration is key to the success from the barn to the show ring. ShowFresh H2O has helped exhibitors perform at the top level, bringing home countless championship banners. From coast to coast and border to border, ShowFresh H2O is the most affordable and effective tool in your show box. Peak Production Center, formerly known as Gen X Hawkeye West, they're located at 3800 Duck Creek Road, just outside of Billings, Montana. They've got bulls for Gen X and Alta Genetics. Give them a call and schedule a tour to look through their bulls today. And again, Weaver Leather Livestock. Weaver Livestock believes having good character is a major part of being a great leader. Weaver encourages exhibitors to choose a positive attitude.
It's an awesome division of these cattle, guys. Let's go ahead and give all of them a round of applause. I think you've got three cattle really out here that represent quality, and all of them have things you'd like to tweak and things you'd like to change. I guess when you get them back out here, there's one of them that just represents a type and kind that's just unique and has unique pieces, and from a breeding standpoint has got so much value. And then after that, I think you can pick and choose, and there's one, although maybe not my type and kind necessarily, that I still think has got better running gears, better body, and better spine than another heifer out here. Young lady right here in the middle is going to be your division champion. I think that heifer is awfully unique. Young lady here at the front of the line is going to be your reserve today. Let's congratulate them.
Congratulations to our reserve champion junior yearling heifer right there. That is tag number 504, showed by Hadley Cooper of Powell, Wyoming. M.S. Layla, and our champion junior yearling heifer, tag number 501, shown by Bailey Becker of Valentine, Montana. And we will now select our grand champion maintainer female. We welcome back into the Ford F-150 EcoBoost show ring all those that are in contention for selection of Grand Champion and Reserve Grand Champion Maintainer Female. Tri-State Livestock News, another one of the great sponsors that we have here at the NILE, and they are over 60 years strong. They're published every Saturday. Tri-State Livestock News provides timely agribusiness news, rodeo updates, livestock market reports, and community event coverage in a 9-state region. Visit them online at tsln.com, or better yet, stop by the Tri-State Livestock booth and pick yourself up a Tri-State Livestock News. And while you're at it, check out some of the unique and beautiful sweatshirts and clothing that they have that are very, very much pro-beef, pro-ag, pro-United States rancher. Check that out at Tri-State Livestock News. K.R. Rao and Wilson Trailers. Wilson is the manufacturer of quality livestock grain, flatbreads, drop decks, self-unloading belt conveyor, and gooseneck. Livestock Trailers, K.R. Rao Company, determined 47 years ago that the Wilson trailer brand was the best quality and had better performance, durability, and value than any other Brand X trailer that they've seen. They are a proud sponsor of the NILE Top Herdsman Trailer Award, Transova. Transova Genetics is the industry leader in advanced reproductive technologies, including embryo transfer, in vitro fertilization, sex-sorted semen, as well as genetic preservation and cloning services. With more than 36 years of experience, Transova Genetics is the best partner to equip you with the tools you need to achieve your breeding goals.
As we get to the end of this maintainer drive, an awesome set of cattle guys. Let's go ahead and give all of these kids a really big round of applause. I'm pretty set on how these cattle need to be lined up in my mind, and I'm sure each one of you has a favorite out there. There's one, like I said, that I think is just a really, really unique breeding piece. Maybe not without her faults, but certainly in terms of things and pieces to use and breed on, I just think it is incredibly different. Another one that I think in terms of the long-term haul is the one that's got it all for on down the road. Maybe just a little bit younger, and a future is maybe just not foreseen quite yet on that one. Let's go ahead and give them another round of applause. I'll pick your champion in reserve.
Congratulations to your champion. That is tag number 501. Tag number 501, Young's Miss Anjou. Anjou showed by Bailey Becker of Ballantine, Montana. And Coed Cahoon of Charlotte, Montana, with tag number 502, selected as the reserve, grand champion. With that, we are going to get underway with the open show of our Maine Anjou maintainers. First class we're going to welcome. This is class number 2, winter heifer calves, calved January 1st through the end of February of this year, 2023. We've got tag number 208, shown by Wyatt DeYoung of Kennebec, South Dakota. Number 227, shown by Rigby Cattle Company of Fairville, Utah. And tag number 215, shown by Hearts and Diamonds Cattle of Warden, Montana. Our judge for our open show this morning, Mr. Dan Fawcett of Rehite, South Dakota. Dan Fawcett is the 4th generation on his family's ranch, Fawcett's Elm Creek Ranch in Rehite, South Dakota. He and his wife Kyla have 2 kids, Hollis and Ivy. Living on the family ranch. Hollis and Ivy are active in the junior breed associations and 4-H. Fawcett's have about 1,200 head of registered Hereford and Angus. Background, 1,500 to 2,000 head. Market, 250 commercial Hereford heifers and A-eyed Angus. They have an annual bull sale selling 100 bulls and a fall female sale selling show heifer and donor prospects. Fawcett's have been humbly successful in this show ring, winning such shows as National Western Livestock, American Royal, Hereford Junior National, Cattlemen's Congress, and numerous state and regional shows. Dan has judged many shows over the years at the state, regional, and national level. Mr. Fawcett, thank you for being here in Billings with us. While Mr. Fawcett is looking at this great class of cattle right here, I'm going to tell you just a little bit more about a couple of our good friends here at the NILE, not the least of which is Origin, breeder-to-breeder genetic service, the first and largest genetic company founded and operated by beef cattle for beef cattlemen. One stop for custom semen collection, sex sorting of semen, and sales of semen, featuring the #1 Angus sire of progeny registered for the past 3 consecutive years and 4 of the past 5 years. Again, that is Origin Genetic Services. Phillips 66 provide energy for life. More than 13,000 employees work safely and responsibly to process, transport, store, and market energy products. These products help to transport, feed, clothe, and care for society every day. Learn more at Phillips66.com. Phillips 66, providing energy and improving lives.
Nice day to be here in Billings, and we start our day off here in the open show with 3 real nice heifers. And the good thing about them is, you know, they're different in their type and kind, but when you start to study them in their structure, they've all got future, they're all sound, and they can get out and go. I'm going to go ahead and use the young lady heifer to my left. I think this one opens up with the most body shape and rib. You view her from the side, and she is the deepest through the center portion of her body. She's more extended when you compare her to the heifer that's right behind her there in second, up through the front third. Just a really nice, bright future. I understand she's a little tougher to get a look at. She's not quite broke as well, but I think there's a lot of future in that heifer that wins our class. We come next with one that is wider skeleton. She's bolder in her overall build. She's got more arch and shape to her rib cage. I think she's maybe a bit stouter right now at this time of her life. When you study this heifer at the ground, she's just a bit frailer made. She's a bit smaller footed, not quite as stout featured. If we could stouten that one up a little bit at the ground, we'd move her into first. Our third heifer coming next is one that's the biggest outlined heifer. She is the longest bodied, but to put it simply, when you put a viewer from the side, heifer that's not straight enough in her line, she gets a little bit round out of her hip compared to the heifers right above her. Three real nice heifers here. Let's give these exhibitors a nice hand.
Congratulations to your reserve champion junior heifer calf right there. That's tag number 227 from Rigby Cattle Company of Fairville, Utah. And finishing at the top, your champion junior heifer calf, tag number 208, shown by Wyatt DeYoung of Kennebec, South Dakota. We'll move right on to class number 4, welcoming in 2 entries for the class. Tag number 221, Princeton, California's Travis Moniz, and out of Fort Minton, Montana, tag number 225, Michael O'Hara. This will be your champion senior heifer calf and reserve. On deck right now, we got class number 6. That's a single entry, 223. 223, you are on deck.
I think there's some give and take in both of these heifers here. They're come at us in a bit different rig, and the Baldy heifer is one that when you view her from the side, she's a bit shapier and she's got a bit more stoutness and power compared to the heifer that's right behind her. When you study that one that's the young lady showing, she's a bit more extended. She's longer up through the front third of her body. She's longer down her top, more extended from hooks to pins. I think there's two real high quality heifers here. The differences I see is when you get behind these heifer, and the Baldy heifer is a bit more disappointing when you study her rib cage, her depth. We get behind her and start her overall width of skeleton. So I'm going to go ahead and use young lady's heifer that has that advantage of overall extension. You get behind her, she's got more opened up at the top side of her rib cage, carries more natural depth through the center portion of her body. You set them in motion, a heifer that's really sound structured out on the go. Really hyperly presented heifer here that the Baldy heifer the younger man has here. High quality, from really striking from the side. When you get behind her, she's just a bit narrow gauged. You set her in motion, she's a bit more restricted and not quite as fluid in her movement when you compare it to the heifer right above her, with two real nice heifers. Let's give those two exhibitors a nice round of applause.
Congratulations to your reserve champion right there. That is tag number 221, shown by Travis Moniz of Princeton, California. And at the top, your champion at senior heifer calf is going to be tag number 225, shown by the pride of Fort Benton, Montana, Michael O'Hara. We'll go now to a single entry. This is class number 6, tag number 223, spring yearling heifer calves, born from the 1st of March to the end of April of 2022. Single entry number 223, Trevor Williams of, it is 233. Number 233, Trevor Williams, Riverton, Wyoming.
Single entry here that comes out, and I think obviously she can get out and go and travel with ease. She's fluid in her movement. She's sound in her structure. She's good in her angles of her shoulder, her hip, and hind leg. Just a really nice, attractive one when you set her in motion. You get her stopped, and she really gives you a nice look. The heifer's well balanced. She's extended. She's long-sided. She's got a really nice eye appeal from the side, and I think a really nice, high-quality single entry. Let's give this young man a nice round of applause.
Outstanding single entry right there, shown by Trevor Williams of Riverton, Wyoming, tag number 223. That'll bring us to class number 7. Class number 7. There are 2 entries in class number 7. These are junior yearling heifers born the first of the year through the end of February of 2022. We're going to see tag number 211, shown by Kennebec, South Dakota's Wyatt DeYoung, and tag number 224, shown by Emery O'Hara of Fort Benton, Montana. From here, we will make the selection for the champion junior yearling heifer.
two very high quality heifers here that are very different in their overall builds, and that's why we have them out here, is so that we can discuss the things that we like and some of the differences as well. I think the gentleman to my right is a really bold and shapy female, and I think she's big and round in her rib cage, and her depth of body is really good. I really like that about her. Things I'd like to change about her: you set her in motion, she gets a little bit weak in her loin and high in her tail head. A heifer that appears to be lean when you study her from her shoulders back and her rib cage. Just a really nice and trim female. Yeah, you get around in front of her and she's pretty full and deep in her brisket and chest floor. There's some give and take compared to the heifer right there behind her. A heifer that's a bit more appealing when you study her in her chest floor. She appears to be leaner at the bottom side of her skeleton, but when you get on the top side of her neck, she's starting to get a bit cresty and mature looking. A heifer that when you set her in motion, she does have the advantage in overall traveling ability. She holds her top line together, keeps her tail head down in her. Just a really nice striking one. I don't think there's a wrong answer here on which one you start with, because these two are really hard to compare because they're different type of cattle. I'm going to go ahead and use the one that I think ties her skeleton together better. She holds her spine together better on the move, and that'll be the young lady's heifer that's standing in front of me, and she'll be our class winner. Our gentleman's heifer with the big, bold-bodied heifer is going to be second. I appreciate the overall width and dimension in that rib cage. I'd just like to see her a bit less piecey, tie things together more correctly down her top line, through her loin, and drop her tail head down in her, and then she could get around that heifer. Let's give both these exhibitors a nice round of applause.
Congratulations to a very, very nice class right there. Tech number 224 finishes in reserve. That is Emery O'Hara from Fort Benton, Montana. And Wyatt DeYoung of Kennebec, South Dakota finishes at the top of the class with tag number 211. We're going to bring in now those that are in contention for selection of Champion Junior and Reserve Champion Junior Yearling Heifer. Following selection of our Grand Champion Junior Yearling Heifer, we will make the selection for the Grand Champion Maine Anjou Female. Junior bull calves born January 1st of 2023 and after. You are just a few minutes away. Tags 213 and 228. Be thinking about it. We're going to be seeing you here in just a very few minutes. And I'm going to give one more shout out to some of the great sponsors that we have here at the NILE for 2023. Biozeme and VitaFirm. Make sure to provide the best quality vitamin and mineral supplement for your herd with the VitaFirm line, powered by EmaFirm, a prebiotic proven to increase intake, digestion, and absorption. VitaFirm is a proud sponsor of this year's NILE. And Hubbard Feeds. They've got a long history of providing research-based nutrition products and innovative support services. They've got 22 feed manufacturing locations across the United States that provide our dealers and customers with a wide variety of products. At Hubbard Feeds, we are driven to provide our customers with products and answers that will improve their profitability, increase their competitive advantage, reduce their risk, and simplify their lives. And who doesn't want that? A big shout out and a thank you not only to Hubbard Feeds, but to all of the great sponsors that we have at the 2023 NILE. We couldn't do it without you.
Not a whole lot of heifers here in this division, but I think when we get these three back out here, things kind of come together here pretty quickly for me. And that heifer that wins that first class is one that I appreciated for overall length and extension. She's She's nice and trim in her overall condition. She's lean, and I like that about her. A heifer that can get out and go quite well. When you compare her to the couple heifers right behind her, there's just not quite as much heifer there. She's not quite as stout and bold and powerful as the two heifers right behind her, but I think a really high quality one that'll be an interesting breeding piece for that young man. Her young lady's heifer that wins the second class in this division, we talked about how she was nicer down her top line and spine. Her tail head sits down in her. She's attractive on the go. She opens up with some mass and power when you get behind her. I think a really good one there in that second class winner. Second to her in class is one that I really like for the rib cage. You get behind that one and they don't get much bolder and rounder at the top side of her rib cage coming out away from her spine, just opened up and bold, just a really feminine, broody power female. We're going to use the two heifers out of that second class for our champion and reserve in this division. Let's give those exhibitors a nice round of applause.
Congratulations to your reserve champion junior yearling heifer. That's tag number 224 from Fort Benton, Montana's Emery O'Hara. And your champion junior yearling heifer, tag number 211, brought to us by Wyatt DeYoung of Kennebec, South Dakota. Let's make our selection for grand champion. Maine Anjou female now. All those that are in contention for selection of grand champion Maine Anjou female, welcome to the Ford F-150 EcoBoost show ring. Next Level Images is the official photographer of all of the stock shows this year at the NILE. From Mount Pleasant, Texas, they're the exclusive photographers for our 2023 NILE Stock Show. All champion and reserve breed champions are required to have their backdrop photos taken. Everyone is welcome and encouraged to have their photos taken in the backdrop. All photos, ring, and backdrop will be available to view at the northeast corner of the Expo Center. If you've got any specific needs whatsoever while you are here, by all means let them know, and please no photography at the backdrop or ringside. Thank you. That is Next Level Images. They are the official photographer for your 2023 NILE Stock Show.
when we get our division champions back out here to pick our champion reserve for our Maine females, I think we have 6 individuals here that are very good and very different at the same time, and I think they all offer you some look and eye appeal and some presence out here as show heifers. But more importantly, I think these heifers offer us something for the future in terms of being a cow. They're sound, they're functional, and their build. They've just got a really nice future ahead of them. I think I'm glad to see this Maine show get started out here, because I do think this breed is important to the industry. They offer a lot of good traits and power and muscle and mass, yet they're still sound and functional and they're kind, and I think they've come a long way since I've started watching Maines when I was a kid and kind of been involved with it as well. My family, we sell show heifers in the Herefords, so we kind of look for different options to show so that we don't have to compete against the ones that we sell, and we've kind of dove into the Maines for my kids, and it's something that we really enjoy. We like the breed, and it's fun for us to kind of get out and show them as well. Let's give all these exhibitors a nice round of applause, and I'll go out and pick your champion in reserve. We have our second place coming in here to be considered, and when you start to kind of look at these heifers and you try to predict the future on some young heifers, and the heifer that won that first division, you really kind of got to speculate on her structure, if she's good enough on the go, because we can't really see how she moves out here. It's kind of been all or nothing. So I'm speculating that that one's got a bright future as well, because I really like that one on the stand. Young lady here in the middle has got a bright future ahead of that one too, and I appreciate the condition that heifer's in. She'll be able to show that heifer for a long time and keep her fresh. Heifer that comes out of that last division again is when you start to talk about cow power and true breeding pieces and mass and power, I think there's no denying her being our reserve champion. Let's give all these exhibitors a nice round of applause.
Congratulations to your reserve champion right there. That one again, shown by Travis Moniz of Princeton, California. Correction, Wyatt DeYoung is your reserve champion there. Wyatt DeYoung, the reserve, and the champion, Michael O'Hara of Fort Benton, Montana, with tag number 225. And we are going to go right ahead now into our bull show. Junior bull calves born in the first of the year, 2023. And following, we welcome you to the Ford F-150 EcoBoost Show Ring. Wyatt DeYoung of Kennewick, South Dakota, with tag number 213 and tag number 228 from Rigby Cattle Company of Fairview, Utah.
we've got differences here in this class, and not only in their type and kind, but also in their age. And our gentleman's heifer on my right has got a mid to an end of March, and our young lady's got a mid-February. So we've got some age advantage here to our young ladies when you study them that way. But I think there's quite a few differences here. Our gentleman's heifer on my right, or bull on my right, is one that's a bit more youthful and appearing in his head and neck. A bull that's more pulled apart in his overall skeletal design. You get behind him, he offers more true width and shape and muscle and power. A bull that can get out and go. And I'm going to go ahead and use his advantage in muscle and power and his youthfulness here to win this class. Our bull that comes out next is one that you appreciate when you study him from the side for his extension for the front third of his body. He's a long-sided bull. He's got just enough muscle shape. You put the bull in motion, he's got a bit too much set to his hind leg, but that's not why he gets beat. I just like to see this bull opened up, pulled apart in his skeleton, and make him a bit stouter to get around our bull that wins our class. Let's go give those two exhibitors a nice round of applause.
Congratulations to our, what is going to be our grand champion, Maine Anjou bull right there out of Rigby Cattle Company of Fairville, Utah, and the reserve going to Wyatt DeYoung of Kennebec, South Dakota. That'll bring us to class number 17. Maintainer early spring heifer calves, born March 1st and following. We've got 4 entries, making 5 entries in this one. Tag number 202. Shown by Hadley Cooper of Powell, Wyoming. Number 217, shown by Caden Capula of Shepherd, Montana. Charlotte, Montana's Cohen Cahoon brings us tag number 201. Sidney Cutler of Phillipsburg bringing tag number 205. And Wyatt DeYoung of Kennebec, South Dakota, tag number 206. Welcome and good luck.
fun class here to sort, and it'd be interesting to see what Ashley thought of these if they came through her ring as well. But I think there's a couple here that kind of surface fairly quickly, and then we've got a couple options and decisions to make here on kind of where our priorities lie, and we'll discuss that when we get down there. But let's bring those first two out, and I think the gentleman's heifer that wins this class does it fairly quickly to me. I think there's two heifers here on top that are very sporty. They're very different. I'm going to go ahead and use the one that's a bit more feminine in her overall design. Heifer that's longer bodied. She's more extended down her top and out of her hip. She's a bit more feminine in the way that she's built when you study her muscle pattern and her bone work. A really attractive female that can get out and go, and I think wins this class fairly easily. Our red roan heifer that comes out next is one that's real neat to look at. I mean, she gets your attention not only because of her color pattern, but you start to study her overall design. She's a bit more moderate compared to the heifer that wins her class. She offers us a bit more muscle shape and power when you get behind her. She's probably stouter featured and stouter at the ground, but she's not as elegant. She's not quite as smooth in her overall put together, the way she's put together, and that's why she's second, but one that's really good there in two. Our next two heifers are where the decision was hard for me. I think I'm going to go ahead and use the one that has the advantage in her overall structural design. And I don't think it's really that close. When you start to study the angles of this one's shoulder, knee to ground, and the way that she can get out and go, she excels compared to the heifer that's right behind her. I realize that heifer that she beats is one that's bolder, more shapy. She's further along in her condition today, but that's not necessarily an advantage either. I think I'm going to go ahead and use that lean one and be very confident in the future that one will have next year. Now this heifer coming next is one that I just said was a bit more opened up. She's a bit bolder. She's got a bit more shape than the heifer that's right above her. But when you start to study the angles to her shoulder, she gets a bit steeper and straighter. She doesn't handle her front two in motion when she gets out and go. If I could change her structure a bit, she'd easily get around the heifer above her. But I think the heifer that beats her just offers us a bit more future. Heifer that rounds out the class is probably the stoutest featured, widest constructed female in the class. But a heifer that when you set her in motion, she's a bit restricted and straight on both ends. Would like to change the structure on that one, and we can move her up a spot or two. Let's give all those exhibitors a nice round of applause.
Congratulations to our class champion right there from Charlotte, Montana. That was Cohen Cahoon, showing tag number 201. And that'll bring us to class number 18. Class 18, these are maintainer winter heifer calves born in January or February of 2023. Two entries here, number 229 from Rigby Cattle Company of Fairview, Utah. And from the O'Hara Land and Cattle Outfit in Fort Benton, tag number 222. We will select our champion junior heifer calf following this class.
two young ladies here both have a couple heifers here that'll be great projects for them here through the winter and going on to next summer. And it'll be interesting. It'd be nice to be able to see how they end up doing next fall and see if maybe they'll come back and get sorted here as big breds. But just a really nice program here for both of these two to kind of get started in, and I think they've both offer us a lot of future. I'm going to go ahead and use the young lady that's on my right. I think one that's just a bit bolder and more powerful. A heifer that's got more shape and with the skeleton, yet she's still feminine in the way that she's put together. She's adequate in her muscle. She's abundant in her foot and bone. A really nice, complete one there to win her class. Our heifer that comes next is when you study up through the front third of her body, she's really extended and clean and tight in her throat, and sometimes that can be a good thing or maybe a bit of disadvantage too. I'd like to see this one just a bit softer in her overall present, maybe a bit easier fleshing compared to that heifer that's right up front of her. But I think a really nice, extended, well-balanced female that just doesn't have quite as much punch and power to get around our class winner here today. But two really nice heifers, two good projects for these young ladies. Let's give both these exhibitors a nice round of applause.
Couple of very impressive entries right there in class number 18. Tag number 229 finishing in reserve from Rigby Cattle Company of Fairview, Utah, your class champion. Then, of course, tag number 222 from O'Hara Land and Cattle in Fort Benton, Montana. We will move now to make the selection of our reserve champion junior heifer calf and the champion junior heifer calf. Welcome back to the Ford F-150 EcoBoost show ring. All those that are in contention for selection of the aforementioned.
Good in all four of them, and I think they're all real high quality, and there's some differences that we can talk about, and our heifer that wins that first class, man, you get back here and take a look at her. If you're standing behind me here, you can really see the nice silhouette that she gives you. And it's hard to put a hole in one that comes at you like that and can stop and give you a really nice look and be that eye appealing. Just a really nice, complete one that combines the structural integrity. She's got enough mass and power with a killer look. We come behind her with our next class winner, and man, that one's really stout and powerful. She's opened up, she's bold, she's got an abundance of width down her top and out of her hip, yet she's adequate in her muscle shape and pattern when you study her there, when you view her from the side. A heifer that's big-boned and big-footed as well. Just two really nice class winners. Let's give these exhibitors a nice round of applause, and we'll go out and pick your champion in reserve in this division.
Congratulations to our champion junior heifer calf. That is tag number 201, showed by Cohen Cahoon of Charlotte, Montana. Exhibitors, I do have a reminder for you from upper management. If you would, please make sure that the number you are wearing is the appropriate number that corresponds with the stock that you are showing. Those numbers are with us for a reason, so please make sure that you do have the appropriate number that corresponds with the animal you are showing. We're going to go to class number 19 right here. Class 19 coming at you. Maintainer late senior heifer calves born the 1st of November and following. Looks like a single entry here from Trevor Williams of Riverton, Wyoming. This is tag number 232. I believe that I am getting word from the gate that Class 19 is a scratch. Is that correct? Class 19 does not exist. Let's go right on to class number 20 now. Maintainer early senior heifer calves. Born from the 1st of August through the end of October. It'll bring us 4 entries from Newcastle, Wyoming. Number 218 shown by Jerome Libb. Jerome also showing tag number 219. Tag number 209 shown by Wyatt DeYoung, and tag number 210 also shown by Wyatt DeYoung of Kennebec, South Dakota. We will select our champion senior heifer calf from this class.
got some differences here to discuss, and I think we have a class winner here that comes up fairly quickly, in my opinion, and she does that because when you set her in motion, a heifer that's the structural correct female of the class. She's long-sided, she's long and level down her top, she's level from hooks to pins. She's got enough muscle shape, and when you study her from behind, for me, I think she's stout enough and wide enough in her structure, or wide enough in her skeleton to compare against the heifers behind her to go ahead and win this class quite quickly. Now we got into some discussion here, what we need to kind of lay our priorities to and differences, and I think obviously our first two heifers have had a bit more time spent on them, they've had a bit more feed, and we got to get past that and start to study some skeletal design and differences here. And there's some things that I could go either way here between 2 and 3 because I like both of these cattle and I think they're very good. I think the second place heifer has that advantage in overall skeletal build, and when you get behind her, she's a bit wider construction and stouter featured. She's bigger footed and bigger boned, a bit more powerful type of female here in second. But the thing that I don't quite like about her is when you start to study her structure through the front third of her body, she's pretty steep in her shoulder and knee to ground. She has a hard time holding her head up and go. She gets the center portion of her back up in the air and roachy a little bit on the move. And that's where our heifer in third has that advantage. A heifer that can get out and go and be a bit more flexible. She's more relaxed in her spine and center portion of her body when she's on the move. But a heifer, when you start to study her overall design, she's not quite as attractive as some of the heifers. When you study her neck going into the front side of her shoulder, a really nice, neat, longer-sided heifer just doesn't have that overall power to get around that heifer in 2. But I think that's a close pair that I could easily switch. Our fourth heifer is a nice, attractive type of cattle. She's a bit shorter bodied. She is a younger heifer out here, so we take that into consideration, but I just don't think she has the mass and power. I think that one has a bright future, and someday she could definitely move up a spot or 2. Let's give all those exhibitors a nice round of applause.
We were lacking a couple of back numbers right there, so we can't give you the top 2, but I can give you the top 1. Jerome Lip of Newcastle, Wyoming, with tag number 218, finishes top of the class. That will be your champion senior heifer calf. And we'll go on to class number 21. Maintainer summer yearling heifers born May 1st through the end of July of 2022. 3 entries in the class, 220. From Jerome Lip of Newcastle, Wyoming. Number 203 from Hadley Cooper of Powell, Wyoming. And from Hearts and Diamonds Cattle Company, Warden, Montana, tag number 216.
interesting class here for me to kind of evaluate and try to sort through what we're going to do here. And, you know, I'm not sure that I'm still set in stone on which one I like better, because these first two couldn't be more different and come from a different planet. I'm going to go ahead and use the one that's a bit stouter, and she's more pulled apart in her skeleton. You get behind her, and she's wider down her top. She's bigger hips. She's bigger boned and footed. You get behind her. She shows more arch and shape to her rib cage. You study her from the side. She's got plenty of depth. I'd like to chain this one up through the front third of her body. She's a bit shorter. I'd like to see her a bit more extended. I'd like to see her a bit more elegant and feminine there through the front third of her body, lift her chest floor up into her. I'd like to see her come up higher out of the top side of her shoulder into her head and neck. But if I could change that about her, I think we have a real good one there to win her class. Our next heifer coming next is absolutely the different type of cattle. I think this is one that's maybe is the type of kind that you could probably turn out and make that mama cow to raise a herd bull. She's offers more growth and performance. She's a longer sided female, but when you study her in terms of her overall mass and power, she gives up the foot size, the bone work, the overall appearance, that she just doesn't balance up quite as well when you study her from the side as well. When you look at the first two heifers, she's not quite as neat in the way that she's put together. She's not quite as stout featured at the ground, but two really good ones here in first and second. Our young man coming out next has kind of got into a class with a couple powerhouses in it. A heifer that's nice and moderate in her frame. She's easy flesh and she's bold in her skeleton. She just doesn't have as much mass, power, and grow to compete with those heifers right above her. Let's give all those exhibitors a nice round of applause.
Congratulations to your reserve champion and your class champions right there. Finishing in second, tag number 220, Jerome Lip of Newcastle, Wyoming, and Hadley Cooper of Powell, Wyoming finishes at the top of the class. We'll go to class number 22 here. These are maintainer spring yearling heifers born March 1st through the end of April. Two entries in this class, tag number 214 from Davy Frost of Cowley, Wyoming, and Bailey Becker of Valentine, Montana with tag 200.
two very good ones in this class, and it's kind of what I've been hoping to see in the maintainers, and to have a couple come at me that are a bit more elite in their quality, and I think there's quite a bit of difference in both of these cattle. They're both really, really good, yet they're very, very different. And I kind of like those ones that are a bit more sporty up through the front third of their body, and I think that's where that kind of the split's going to come down to that type of thing on these two. The heifer in the front up there to my right with the young lady with the blue shirt is one that's maybe a bit more powerful, and she's got a bit more shape and mass right now. She's a bigger outlined heifer. She's a notch longer bodied heifer. And I appreciate that about her. Both of these two heifers are structurally correct in terms of their movement. They can both get out and go. The differences to me are in the front thirds of their body. And our young lady's heifer out in the front, talk about how stout she is, and she's longer sided, she's bigger outline. But when you study her, I'd like to see her a bit more youthful and fresh about her head and neck. I'd like to see her tie into the top side of her shoulder a bit higher and come up a bit more attractive. And I think that's where the more moderate heifer has that advantage. She's neater through the front third of her body. She's more extended. She's higher at the top side of her shoulder into her head and neck. And that's the advantage, and she'll be our class winner. Let's give both of these heifers a nice round of applause. Two very high quality ones here in this class.
Congratulations to our class winner right there, number 214, tag 214, shown by Davey Frost of Cowley, Wyoming. Going to move right now to our a single entry right here. Maintainer junior yearling heifers born 1st of January through the end of February. Just a single entry. A single entry right here. This is Trevor O'Hara from Fort Benton, Montana, with tag number 226. We will select our grand champion, maintainer female, and reserve grand champion following this class. Need to take a minute to correct myself. I was one off on the previous class. Our class champion was Bailey Becker of Valentine, Montana. That was in the maintainer's spring yearling heifer calves born in March or April of 2022. Class champion there. My apologies. Tag number 200, Bailey Becker of Valentine, Montana.
Young man brings a really high quality female out here in the single entry, and a heifer that's really elegant about her front third of her body. She's bold in her overall design. She's wide in her skeleton. She stands on good feet and legs. She's got some extra dimension and circumference of bone there at the ground. Just a really nice high quality heifer in this class. Let's give this young man a round of applause.
Outstanding single entry right there. That is tag number 226 of Fort Benton, Montana, shown by Trevor O'Hara. And we will now move to make the selection of our grand champion maintainer female, and reserve will welcome back into the Ford F-150 EcoBoost show ring. Correction, we are selecting champion junior yearling heifer. My apologies. We're selecting it champion junior yearling heifer. Then we will move to selection of our grand champion. I'll give a shout out to just a couple more of our great sponsors here while we are taking a look at this impressive class. Tri-State Livestock News. They've got a booth set up just over by the entry. I would encourage you to go over and visit with them there at the Tri-State Livestock booth. They're the leading livestock publication in the upper Midwest. Over 60 years strong, is published every Saturday. Tri-State Livestock News provides timely agribusiness news, rodeo updates, livestock market reports, and community events over a 9-state region. And when you swing by and talk to them there at the Tri-State booth, check out the sweatshirts that they've got for sale right there. They are very, very pro-beef, pro-American ag, pro our industry. And I think that you will find one there that you just can't live without. So go on over and check them out at the Tri-State booth and, of course, the Northern Ag Network. KGHL NILE Stock Show is brought to you by the flagship station, the Northern Ag Network, home of the award-winning farm broadcasters like Taylor Brown, Coulter Brown, Andy Schwab, and Brett McRae at 790 on the AM dial and 94.7 FM. And also, don't forget to make your way over to the northeast corner of the Expo Center and visit with them at Next Level Images. They are the official photographer for the 2023 Stock Show. Make sure you go over and check them out. If you've been showing here this week, if you're going to show this week, I promise they'll have some fantastic photos for you, and you can take them home from you right here today.
All 5 of these heifers in this division are very high quality, and there's a few that are a bit more show-oriented, and we've got some that are bred a different way, maybe have a different focus. With the young man with the cowboy hat, it's got one I really like and appreciate for overall cow power that's coming at us. But our 3 class winners here are very good, and I think all 3 of them they're all 3 in contention, and I think there's some good things about all of them, and some of them are a bit better in a few different areas. But let's give all these young exhibitors a nice round of applause, and we'll go out and pick your champion reserve in this division.
Congratulations to your reserve champion junior yearling heifer. That is tag number 214. 214 shown by Davey Frost of Cali, Wyoming. And your champion junior yearling heifer is tag number 200 shown by Bailey Becker of Ballantine, Montana. Now we're going to move to make selection of our grand champion maintainer female. Welcome back to the show ring, all those that are in contention for selection of grand champion and reserve grand champion maintainer female. Junior bull calf, you are on deck. It's a single entry. Tag number 212 from Wyatt DeYoung of Kennebec, South Dakota. We're going to take a look at your bull right after we select our grand champion female.
get our division champions back out here for champion maintainer, and it's really impressive the quality that we've had, and I'm glad to see that this show has got their own place here with this breed, and because I think there's definitely a place for these cattle, and there's some real world to them, and they've got some good. A lot of these cattle are very different, but they're all very good, and you can come at them with different angles and different perspectives and kind of decide which direction you'd like to go. I think there's different options out in front of us here, and those standing ringside could probably pick different favorites out here that they'd like to use. I mentioned that our family kind of shows the mains a little bit here, and last year we were fortunate enough to get reserve at Louisville and Oklahoma City, and then we won Denver, which ended up with my daughter having show heifer of the year. So it's something that I'm really intrigued with is this day here while I'm judging these cattle is I just like to see this type and kind and this kind of quality, even though we don't have a whole lot of numbers here. I'm proud to be here and able to judge this breed, and I'm proud to be a part of it with my family and my kids. I just really would like to extend our appreciation for these exhibitors, the type of cattle that they're coming to us with. Let's give them all a round of applause, and I'll go out and pick your champion in reserve.
Congratulations to our reserve grand champion right there. Tag number 201. Tag number 201 shown by Cohen Cahoon of Charlotte, Montana. And our grand champion maintainer female. Congratulations going out to Bailey Becker of Ballantine, Montana with tag number 200, Young's Miss. Let's go now. We've got one entry here in our junior bull calves. This single entry number 212 from Wyatt DeYoung of Kennebec, South Dakota.
single entry here in this class and in the bull show, so this will be our champion maintainer, if I'm not mistaken. But when you study this bull, you really like the way he comes out of the top side of his shoulder, the extension and look that he gives you in the front third of his body. You get behind him, and he's definitely pulled apart in his skeleton. He's wide in his build. He's powerful in his muscle shape. Definitely has plenty of body, a bull that can get out and go really nice. I think a really nice future for this young bull. Let's give this exhibitor a nice round of applause.
Congratulations to a very impressive single entry right there. Tag number 212, DJ Landslide, shown by Wyatt DeYoung of Kittavik, South Dakota, going to be your grand champion maintainer bull. Well, thus ends our maintainer show. We do thank all of our exhibitors, everybody that came out to be with us here this morning. We are going to be shut down here in the show